Hello, Keegan Siebenaler here, and I'm speaking tonight as the Executive Director of Shelter WF. So I'm here to talk about those items that are on your agenda to revise the 2025 Housing Needs Assessment. I don't want to reiterate all the written comments that I made. I do just want to give you a little bit of insight into our motivation for bringing this to you, as well as kind of the specific requests that we have for City Council. So after the Housing Needs Assessment came out a few months ago, we began to hear a common narrative develop around housing and in a lot of these committee meetings. And that narrative basically says that Whitefish has been building enough units every year. We don't need to increase supply. We just need more subsidized units. Shelter WF exists as a nonprofit because we believe that to be false, both based on kind of the economic reality of Whitefish, but also, those conversations we have every day with renters that kind of prove that the status quo amount of housing we've been building has led to a significant shortage. Our membership believes that there's a significant shortage of both market rate and subsidized housing in Whitefish, and that we can't find solutions through the growth policy process without acknowledging this. Housing needs stats that stop in 2019 and population projections that are based on pre-pandemic numbers just don't meet that moment. This is why I was heartened to see the memo from the consultants that acknowledge that the city should adopt higher numbers. I want to quote the key part of that memo, which states, integrating a scenario that captures a higher inflow of population in line with the 3.9% growth of the last 5 years is a viable option for understanding potential needs. Preparing for this higher growth scenario is of value to the city and could be integrated into the needs assessment as an additional finding. So that's the motivation for coming to you here today. And it's also a request that the city adopts either as an amendment or an additional finding to the housing needs assessment, these revised numbers that are more in line with reality. We think that's really important, not only to counter that narrative, but also because the housing needs assessment is the data that the housing element, the land use plan, and the upcoming zoning changes are all targeting. I think there's regulatory reforms that make sense if we have a housing needs assessment that says we need 300 to 400 homes a year, but might not make sense under the current housing needs assessment, which says we need between 100 and 150. So we think it's really critically important to just get those numbers right. Thank you for your time.
And Mac, I would also just like to speak in favor of the Shelter WF revised housing needs assessment. I think they raise a lot of good points, and it's kind of a little bit different than just the status quo that has been the narrative so far. And I also just have the mindset where if we at least give the option to build more housing, right? It doesn't mean it has to be built, but it's just okay, let's open up the potential to do so. So I just wanted to voice my support in that. Thank you, guys.